again, beautiful beings. Let's see if I can get some audio. It's a beautiful morning in the desert. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I am chilling right now, feeling like the top of the world in Joshua Tree. I hope all of you had a really good night last night, especially after the meditation. And I want to remind people that this video, especially live, only my members can comment because this is a members Q&A, but everyone gets to enjoy the content. And yeah, so personally for me, last night I had a really good, solid sleep, but I was definitely dreaming like crazy, like so many different adventure dreams, like, kind of like nonsensical, but also very entertaining type of dreams. And I woke up fairly well rested, which is a lot, saying a lot in this kind of time. So I hope all of you feel well rested. I hope you had an incredible meditation last night. I got a lot of images and a lot of visuals on, what the collective was doing for the planet, and it was all really good. It was all really, really good stuff. So thank you all for participating in my video yesterday, and thank you all for participating on behalf of Mother Gaia on the intention setting, right, to shift the frequency. So I want to just kind of dive into these questions. If you're a new member, you should just know that you can post your questions every single week. This past week, I did not post a Q&A just because I had so many questions from the other week. I wanted to get to all of those. So I just want to say hi to all my members. Lauren, Kiyu, Bo, Murphy, John. Hi, everyone. Hi, Cece. Hi, Emmy. Hi, everyone. Yeah, let's just deep dive into the questions. So many good ones. The first question is from, and I might butcher this name, but I'm going to try, Revener. Hi, EA. My question is this: how can I, as the pillar, connect to my higher selves? I'm trying to meditate, but it feels like I'm moving a wall. All right, so this is a good question, not just for everyone else who identifies with the soul mission of a pillar, but also for everyone who is just kind of having difficulties meditating recently. Okay. So, he's saying that he's the pillar, right? Which basically means, in the soul mission video that I posted in the community section, it basically means that he's holding space for everyone else. Now, these individuals in particular who have the mission of being a pillar are specifically meant to be grounded, right? So if you're meant to be grounded and kind of bring everyone else down to earth, then it's going to be very difficult for you to meditate. So this is good advice for anyone who has difficulty meditating and kind of connecting to your higher self, all right? The most important thing is to get outside of your current frequency. If you're used to being grounded, if you're used to being kind of centered on this planet, it's going to be very difficult for you to switch that, right? So anything that will get you outside of your current frequency. So, going somewhere that you're not used to going, right? Being outside in nature. Things like transcendental meditation or guided meditation is really going to help. Things like hypnosis regression or past life regression is going to help you get outside of your frequency. So just because you have a hard time connecting with your higher self and your guides and meditating doesn't mean that you're not able to meditate. Okay. The other thing that I also recommend, which just kind of came to me, please guys take it or leave it, is actually psychedelics. Okay. And I think that there's a couple of states or maybe even a couple of countries right now that are making psychedelics, especially natural ones like mushrooms, legal, which is incredible. And, studies have proven that psychedelics can help you, right? They help PTSD, they help depression. It's really quite incredible what they can do. I'm not necessarily being an advocate, but it did just kind of come to me. If you're having a hard time connecting with your soul family and your higher self and, even just meditating, Sometimes if you really wanna get outside of your reality and outside of this matrix, a good old mushroom trip will kinda get you there. Once again, guys, I know it's still pretty illegal, but it's something that if you have an opportunity to do, check in with yourself, see if that's right, okay? Because that will really get you outside of your current reality and dynamics, all right? Okay, cool. Let's go over to a question from Richard. Once again, these are all questions from my members. So I really appreciate you guys. And these are all really fantastic questions, I think, that are on everyone's mind at this. Should we keep cash for when the banks crash, or should we invest in Bitcoin or silver and gold? Really good question, Richard. Um, Hands down, without a doubt, I think the best thing for all of us to do is to invest, not everything, all right? I'm not telling you to empty your savings, but definitely have some investments in silver and gold. And I don't recommend investing in the stock of silver and gold, which is fine too, but it's still online. It still can be kind of messed with. I highly recommend investing in physical silver and gold. Definitely all of your assets by any means, but if you have an extra bit of currency that you're like, "You know what? I could do something with this," invest it into silver or gold, okay? Right now, silver is very devalued, and I think eventually it will be, way, way more valued than what it is now. Gold is a little bit overvalued, but yeah, so that's what I recommend. You don't have to pull all your money from the banks right now, and I haven't received too much information on the financial collapse, but I think me, along with a lot of other people, have been waiting for this, whole currency reset and financial collapse to happen for quite some time now. So, yeah, so like I said, you don't have to pull all your money from from the banks and stuff. Um, Essentially, if something like that were to happen, right? But I definitely recommend investing in gold and silver. As far as Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, I haven't really received much information, especially recently, on any of that. So, it's precarious. As you guys know, it's a precarious market, but so is the stock market, right? So, good question, though, Richard. We've got another question here from Rare crystals, or tuning into the frequency of our guides, of extraterrestrials to connect with them. My question is, how do we tune in to the frequencies for those who have never done it before and have no idea what it feels like? Good question. Um, can we just do it with our intention to connect? Um, for example, with crystals or other beings? So this is a good question, right? How do we tune into a frequency of a crystal? How do we tune into a frequency of, spirit guides or extraterrestrials? The first step, and this is going to be the biggest step that's going to get you there. So if I were going to tell you any advice, I'm not going to tell you every single step involved with connecting with all of these different frequencies, but I'll tell you the first step, and this is the biggest step, so it's the most important. The number one step to tune into extraterrestrials, your spirit guides, crystals, whatever it may be, is coming from a neutral place. You have to be in a neutral state. If you are coming from a place of, "Oh no, I don't have any money," or "Where's my job?" or, "I just got into a car accident," or, I'm scared for my life. If you're coming from any sort of place with attachment to any sort of limiting reality within this matrix, you're never going to be able to connect to higher frequencies or higher dimensions. You literally need to come from a neutral place before you connect to anything or anyone in other dimensions or other frequencies. The more you're connected to, pink is my favorite color, or I love these sunglasses, or whatever it may be, you're attaching yourself to this present moment. The more attachments that you have, whether it be to the past or emotions or resentment or obligation or your body or whatever it may mean, whatever your attachments are going to hold you back from climbing and ascending to those other frequencies and levels. So if you want to connect to crystals, if you want to connect to extraterrestrials, if you want to connect to your higher self or your guides, the number one advice that I want to bring to you is practice being in a neutral state. No judgment, no fear, no reaction, no perception. Okay. Um, really, nothing, coming from a place of not really connecting to anything in this reality. Okay. And then rising above that. So practicing being in a neutral state. What helps you be in a neutral state? Nature. Helps you be in a neutral state is meditation as well, right? So really practicing being in a neutral state. Um, we've got a couple of comments here from my members on the live chat. Corinne, can you discuss what's going on slash your take in the war happening with the pedophile takedown, adrenochrome, the reptilian shapeshifters, right? It's really wild. It's really, really wild. It's interesting because I learned all about reptilian shapeshifters and the fact that they have human sacrifices and they're very drawn to children and blood. And fear, right? It's just really wild. As I was, introduced to all of that back in 2011, 2012 from the Galactic Federation, believe it or not. And so now that everything's kind of happening and it's all finally rolling out, and I definitely didn't understand the extent of how bad it was. I knew what was going on, but not to that extent. Um, and now it feels like I'm finally watching the end of the movie. You know what I mean? Like I was introduced to this a while ago, and now it finally feels like everything is coming together and it's coming to a close. It's such a big concept, and I haven't tuned into the Galactic Federation about that, so I don't have anything right now to say about that other than it is for sure happening. I've already tuned into that just to validate it. It's for sure happening, but I don't have much else to say about that. I will for sure make a whole other video about the children in these tunnels, the pedophile ring, the adrenochrome, the reptilian shapeshifters. I am for sure going to do a whole video just on that. And I have really tried to stay away from the whole reptilian shapeshifters, Illuminati, shadow government type of concepts. I think mostly because I knew that it wasn't going to fare well for me if I were talking about that a little bit too soon. Now I just feel like the takedown is so intense that I can, I'm now able to talk about that. I just feel safer talking about it. Anyway, so I'll leave that for another video. And then Karen, any feedback about the meditation yesterday? So amazing. I just want to say something about the meditation yesterday. I see everything visually. So I was tapping in to the globe visually during this meditation. And it was almost like I saw the planet pulsing with this pure white light. And we don't need 8 billion people to meditate. We really only need, and like the prophecy states, and I call it the Galactic Federation prophecy, but like the GFL prophecy states, we really only need 144,000 very clear, very intentional, very high vibrational souls to shift the frequency on the planet. And we had a lot more than that last night meditating. So I can't say that we've now shifted into a brand new frequency altogether, but it made a huge impact, a huge, huge impact. And we're going to start to see the dismemberment, the dismantling of the world, um, moving forward, right? I mean, we've shifted enough, we've tipped the scales enough that now the light is winning. I mean, I think we've been winning this whole time, but now we can really see the effects of the cabal being taken down. One more thing I want to mention. So yesterday, if anyone watches my Instagram stories, I rescued these 3 little baby mice. Yeah, I just rescued baby mice. It was such an epic mission I felt like I was on. But someone mentioned to me this morning, they said, "Hey, isn't it interesting that these children are being rescued from the tunnels and you rescued these children, these little babies from your car?" And I just thought that was a very interesting representation and mirroring, right? Because I do feel like in a lot of ways no matter it be me having a bad day or having an anxiety attack or having trouble breathing, I feel like a good mirror, right? I'm not just all love and light and aliens and cosmic downs from the universe. I'm like, I have a rough time too, and typically I know when I have a rough time the rest of the planet is feeling it as well. So I just thought that was a very interesting correlation and comparison. Anyway, let's move on with the questions. Okay. Okay, so the Star Perfect has a question. Talking about your dreams used to be very, very fantastical journeys. Yeah, absolutely. And then, recently, um, yeah, you've been having issues sleeping at night, right? Sleeping through the night completely. So you're getting up multiple times during the night. And then your question is, what can I do to get a better, restful, more restful sleep? Awesome. So I think it's so interesting. I think half of us are getting like these dead, tired sleeps where we're just sleeping throughout the night and it's just, no dreams or anything. I think the other half of us, and I think you're probably experiencing both of these things, are getting sleep, but you're having so many vivid dreams that you're actually unable to sleep all the way through and you're getting woken up multiple times throughout the night. Anyone else? Like my entire life, especially in childhood, I was such a good sleeper, right? I feel like I'm just in the astral realm, that's why. But recently, I have been having the worst sleeps ever. Not only do I feel like I'm just in so much dream world that, I'm not really resting, but at the same time, I'm waking up multiple times, especially waking up at 1 a.m. and especially waking up at 3 a.m. Anyone else getting those feelings where they're just waking up? And then when I do wake up, I can't get to sleep right away again, which is really weird because, you know, I'm such a good sleeper. Like I can sleep anywhere, drop of a hat, like I'm out. And recently I've been having really restless sleeps. And so I want to recommend a couple of things to people. First, I want to say that it's very clear that you're going through an activation, you're going through an upgrade. When you're waking up throughout the night, it's not random, it's not a coincidence, okay? It's happening for a reason. You need to be aware that you waking up, especially around 3 a.m., is very clear signs of some sort of upgrade. 5 to 7 a.m., yeah, and so here, this is how I explain it, right? This is how the guides, my beings explained it years ago. Because I was like, what's going on? This happened a couple of years ago as well. And they told me that when you have a software, right, updating on a computer, and the computer, the fan's going, and so you've got the software updating, when the computer needs to take a break because the upgrade of the software is so intense, the computer will wake back up and just rest. And then it will go back into the software upgrade, right? So that's how they explained. It's almost like halfway throughout the night when we wake up, we're taking a break from the upgrades that we're going through. All right. So just be aware of that. I do want to recommend a couple of things for sleeping in general. I do recommend setting your intention. I always find that this really helps my sleeps. If it's been like 3 or 4 nights of not being able to get to sleep, I will literally just tell my guides, I'm like, "Don't give me an upgrade tonight. All I want a restful sleep. I don't even wanna dream, okay? Just don't even allow me to dream. I just want to, like, dead tired out." And usually that works, right? So I just tell them to back off for one night, and I get a pretty restful sleep. So be aware of that. The other thing that I would recommend as well is lavender. Lavender is really great. I always, spray this, like, lavender sage spray, on our pillows and stuff at night, which is really helpful. You can also put lavender on your temples, on your hands, on your feet. The other thing too, a couple of supplements as well, if you're having a really tough time sleeping or you just kinda wanna get to sleep. CBD I find is really great. It's legal, okay? And it just kind of relaxes your body, and it actually CBD allows your body to heal from the inside. So thinking about that. Also melatonin I find helps. Melatonin is better for kind of like the sleep cycle, right? If you want to kind of get into a good sleep cycle, melatonin is good. The last thing that I would recommend for getting a restful sleep is breath work. When you wake up at 3 a.m., when you wake up at 6 a.m., when you wake up at 1 a.m., or whatever it may be, focus on your breathing in a very positive way, right? So deep breaths out, deep breaths in, holding your breath when you breathe in, and just kind of emitting some positive intentions. When you're in that lucid liminal state between wake and asleep, it's the perfect time to manifest. So utilize that space when you have it. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at some other questions here. I've got some good questions here from Marion. Um, okay, so when the ascension is complete, will we still have the rest of our normal human lives to live? What will be different? Will I still be able to marry and have kids, or will that no longer be a part of our experience? Great question, Marion. 100%. We're going to still have, a very kind of typical human experience, marriage, job, kids, what have you. Um, So what is it gonna look like when the ascension is all over, or let's say it just kind of began in a way? And I believe that we probably won't see this timeline of the major shifts on the planet until 2024. So we still have about 3.5, 4 years to kind of go through the shift, right? I mean, right now during this time, we are collapsing an entire infrastructure of everything at a global capacity level, where we have to collapse all of that in order to build it back up in a positive way. So mostly the Galactic Federation wants to collapse it and rebuild it in a very easy and graceful way. Hopefully, and I don't think it's going to ever get to this point, but we're not going to see, say, post-apocalyptic times. We're not going to see a complete destruction of, the economy. And if anything, in the next 4 years, right, until 2024, this may be the worst that it gets, right? This whole coronavirus stuff. This may be the worst that it gets, is the shutdown of everything, right? And I didn't even know that it was going to get this bad, right? So it should be a very easy, graceful transition, but things that are going to change for sure: education system, financial system, political system, and mass media system, 100%. Oh yeah, and religious system, 100%, hands down. Everything about all of those systems needs to change. I'm also hearing the prison system as well, which is interesting that just kind of popped in. I didn't really even think about that before, but yeah, so we're going to see a lot of shifts and changes. Um, I think mostly the structure of how we're living our life is fairly decent, without being brainwashed as much as we have been. So yeah, so don't worry, we're going to shift everything, but it's going to be in a very easy and graceful way. As far as exactly what that looks like, I'm not totally sure. Yeah, and someone just mentioned, I thought it was gonna take a lot longer, and yeah, it's probably gonna be the rest of our lifetime. I'm just talking about straight up the collapse of the system is gonna be between 2020 and 2024. The birth of a new system after 2024 will take at least 10 to 20 years to really kinda get in a good flow, but like I said, it's not gonna be all or nothing. We're easily and gracefully changing things, okay? Good question though, Marion. Okay, so another question here. Oh, hi, Nicola. Thank you so much for that super chat. Another question here from Marion. Good question. Does the Galactic Federation slash benevolent ETs hear us individually, or is it more as a collective? For example, if I wanted to speak to the aliens or the Galactic Federation right now, would they hear me and understand me personally? That's a good question. Their own extraterrestrial spirit guides, right? And that's kind of what I specialize in, is tuning into people's ET spirit guides. So hands down, if you want to connect to ETs, you've got a whole troop of them that are just waiting to connect and hear from you. So you need to realize that your body is actually a hybrid body. You have extraterrestrial DNA within you. Okay, so just kind of being aware that absolutely you will be heard. The other thing that I want to mention too, yeah, as far as the Galactic Federation, they're definitely a bigger organization, right? Like, think about it this way: you can't just say, you know what, I want to talk to President Trump, right? Like, I want to talk to Congress, right? You can't just necessarily pick up a phone and talk to the people that you want to talk to in the government. It's very similar to the Galactic Federation. However, if you put out a message to the GFL like, I want world peace, or I want awakening, or I want cosmic disclosure for the collective, if you put that out there and enough people are putting that out there at the same time, that's going to make a huge difference. I've even heard the GFL tell me that if enough people in a similar location put out a similar vibration, they will actually come down and create crop circles in that location. Right. So it's really cool. Like, they will listen to you. It's more of on a collective level, but you all have extraterrestrial guides that are listening to you as well. Okay. Okay, great. Let's move to another question. Okay, so good question here from William. What's the best way for higher self actualization? It's a great question. And honestly, I can't tell you that there is one way or another way for higher self actualization. Two things that really do come to mind here. One, and this has been coming really, really, really strong recently in the past couple of days, especially a couple of weeks, which is in order to have higher self-actualization, in order to ascend to a new vibrational frequency, in order to really, like, learn your lessons on this planet, you need to, find a human and being a cosmic divine being of light, right? A consciousness and a body, right? You need to find a balance between both of those things. And I'll just remind all of you that if you're all light and love and rainbows and butterflies, you're not going to become a master, right? If you're all light and never darkness, you're never going to become a master. You need to explore both sides of polarity in order to choose that you don't actually need to be in either one. The more you stretch yourself into polarity, the more you're limited in the moment, okay? And you're taking yourself away from becoming a master. So that's one thing, right? So please, 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 always, guys, even if you tomorrow you start channeling the October it is, and you're like all of a sudden like itching, please make sure you're still eating and sleeping and laughing and loving and being creative and exercising and all the physical human things. Okay, super important. Um, yeah, super, super important. Okay, and then the other thing that I want to mention about how to be, actualized in your higher self is it is really a difference between a knowledge path and a love path. And I have a whole video on this, but I just want to briefly explain. In order to get back to source energy, right? In order to learn all your lessons in this entire universe, right? And become source yourself in a sense, um, there's two pathways to take for awakening, for ascension, for enlightenment. One pathway is the pathway of knowledge, which is, oh, I understand what my lessons are. I understand, the direction that I need to go in. It's a very masculine, very divine masculine path. The other path to take to ascension and enlightenment is the path of love, which is, I feel all of my lessons. I feel the direction that I need to go in, right? As very clearly a divine feminine, very clearly a divine feminine path, right? So this is the polarity of how to reach higher self-actualization, how to reach enlightenment, right? Two different pathways. So once again, in order to be a master, in order to go through enlightenment and awakening as fast as possible, which really, who wants to do that? Because we're all on a journey. But the fastest way to get there is actually experiencing the love, experiencing the feeling, experiencing the divine femininity, as well as understanding the lessons that you're learning. Okay, it's masculine and feminine. That's why even within us, each one of us, we are breaking down the polarity of divine feminine and masculine, right? So I don't know about you guys, but I feel very androgynous on the inside. I know I probably seem like a very divine feminine female on the outside. I feel very masculine on the inside. And I feel a lot of these star children, light workers are all coming through at this time that are also feeling this energy of divine feminine and masculine. And it's tough in a society where we don't really accept the fluidity of gender and sexuality, right? It's very tough for people. So even in your romantic relationship, say, for example, very traditional, you're a wife, you have a husband, your husband's like the man, and you're a stay-at-home mom or whatever, right? Very traditional kind of roles. I guarantee you that you, as a woman, are being forced to step up and make decisions and kind of step into that masculine leadership role. And I almost guarantee that as a man, you are being forced to be vulnerable and break down your walls and fucking cry for once, right? Absolutely. I would be surprised. All right, cool. Okay. Yeah, okay, so let's go over to Suzanne. Susan. Yeah. Suzanne. Suzanne. Okay, cool. What advice do you have for people who have been struggling with illness and a compromised immune system, but otherwise plugged in and embracing life attitude? So that's great. Essentially, what I just want to mention to people who have struggled with illness, whether it be chronic disease or pain or compromised immune system or an autoimmune disease, right? I just want to say that what I've channeled, time systems, what I've channeled is that you are most likely needed in the astral realm. You are most likely needed in other dimensions. Therefore, there's not a whole lot that you can physically do, and there's not a whole lot that you're physically supposed to do on this planet. It's a really wild concept, but what I've channeled is that people who choose the path of having chronic illness are actually doing a lot of work on the other side, and they're actually meant to be in a physical body to anchor in the frequency, but they're not actually meant to, say, get a full-time job or do this or do that. They're just meant to be here as anchor. Okay, so that's really interesting. Other than that, I would say, for people with an illness, I'm sure that you've tried everything in the book, holistic remedies, supplements, all of that great stuff, which is all good as well. Um, and other than that, I mean, as long as you have, an attitude that you're embracing something, the only other thing that I would recommend would be really asking yourself what lesson you're learning through all of this. Is it being vulnerable? Is it being able to ask for help? Is it, not being able to speak your truth? Like, what is the lesson that you're learning? And flip the script and make sure that you're learning that lesson and you're stepping into your power and you are being vulnerable or you're asking for help or whatever it may be. Okay. But good question. Let's go over to, yes, let's go over to Jay. Um, When it comes to affirmations to change your genes, for example, to grow taller by 1 inch, is that pretty realistic to manifest? Or are we not powerful enough to manipulate our genes to that extent? Very good question. Very good question. Now, I just want to say it's already been proven by science, which is a very new cutting edge science, that our intention can actually manipulate and change our DNA. Now, I mean, the extent that they've proved it is, you're sick with a cold and you want to get healthy. Meditating on the health of your body will actually help you to become healthy a lot faster than someone else, say, for example. So, how realistic is it? Hi, Phil. Thank you for being a new member. How realistic is it to, say, set an intention? I want to grow taller and then grow taller. It's quite realistic. You're going to have to do a lot of work on it, but 100%. As we awaken, I guarantee you, your face structure changes, your body changes, your physical awakening and ascension symptoms. 100%. It's quite magnificent, actually, the changes that take place. I just want to let all of you know. I know that maybe you know part of my story, my background. I have a lot that is a part of my story, so it's kind of hard for everyone to know everything. And I know it's funny because I'm so young. Disease called lupus. They told me that by the age of 25, there was, I don't know if it was like 50% chance or 30% chance or whatever, that I would be in a wheelchair, a wheelchair by the age of 35. Or sorry, yeah, by the age of 25. And so that was, devastating for me. I was really athletic. I was, probably way too in my body at that time. But I decided to meditate. I decided to love myself. I decided to transmute my vibration at that age. And in 6 months, I got rid of lupus in my body. Yes, I realize I'm always going to have that gene. Just like in a way, I think, scientists say that we all have the cancer gene in us. It's just, is it activated or not, right? We all have a lot of genes within us, but are they activated? I believe our intention can activate or deactivate genes within us. And there have been incredible stories of people who have gotten rid of things like cancer with healing, self love, and not chemotherapy, and not drugs, and not chemicals, right? So, 100%, I do believe that that is possible. I do believe it takes dedication and hard work, and it's not just boom, you want it, you got it. It's not that easy. Hi, Donald. Thank you so much for being a member. Awesome. We got some new members today. I just want to remind my members, okay, because some people are having difficulty. YouTube is not very intuitive with memberships. You can find over, I think, 30 or 40 exclusive members only videos in the members only playlist at the bottom of YouTube. And then all the other membership content is going to be in the community section, and only the members are able to see it. Okay. Also, I just want to say for anyone else, Catherine, when you want to ask a question, you have to actually ask the question in the community section. And I think I post the Q&A every Thursday or Friday in the post, and you can ask a question there. And then I'm just reading from, the questions that I have already received. So just know it's not a live question, okay? Um, yes, Joe Dispenza, I heard he's pretty epic. Um, oh, thank you so much, Phil, for that beautiful super chat. Yes, beautiful. Awesome. Okay. Okay, so this is a really good question. This is actually such a profound question for right now at this time. And this question is from um, Shemgite B 11. I'm probably butchering that. Yeah. But a great question here. Is there an antidote combination of practices, homeopathy, vibration that we could use to make any compulsory vaccines rejected by the body? Yes, 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 yes. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about vaccines. Let's get into it. Yeah, I mean, I've always believed that vaccines are bad. Okay, let's just start with this. I've always believed that vaccines are bad. Hi, Serenity Yoga. Thank you for being a new member. All right, so vaccines are bad. Let's just put it on the table. However, this is what I tell my clients, right? Because I've got a lot of clients who have young kids, and just like you were mentioning in your question here, you live in Australia. They're talking about taking away family benefits if you don't want to get your kids vaccinated, which is fucked up. That's messed up, right? This is what I always tell my clients who are worried about their kids and vaccines. I tell them, I got all of the vaccines, all of them as a kid. Super psychic as a kid. I was still tapped in as a kid. And it helped. I was raised vegetarian for most of my childhood. Um, but I was connected. And it's funny because my brother, who's a year older than me, very not connected. Well, he's deeply sensitive and very philosophical. But he's not necessarily psychic in the traditional sense, or he didn't have the abilities that I had as a kid. Doesn't matter. It's a soul-based thing, right? So ultimately, I just want to let you know that you can override vaccines. You can override what they're putting in your body. And this is important for everyone to understand because we might have mandatory vaccines. Like, we literally, I would not be surprised that in America, there would be martial law and them rolling out mandatory vaccines for this freaking corona thing, right? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So ultimately, always say no to vaccines, but also ultimately you are able to override the vaccines in your body. Um, Two things that I would recommend as far as overriding vaccines, and we might all really need this information for the near future. So the first thing is, typically vaccines carry a lot of heavy metals. That's what they spray in the air. That's what they put in our water. That's what they put in the pesticides in our food, right? So organic all the way, and hopefully it is really truly organic. So what I recommend is a heavy metal detox. So I recently got a colon cleanse. I don't know what it's called. Like, they flush you out. I forget what it's called. That was amazing for heavy metal detox. That was incredible, incredible. I practice intermittent fasting almost every single day. Like today, I haven't had anything to eat as of yet, and sometimes it's 2, 3, 4 p.m. where I still haven't colonic. Yeah, thank you. So heavy metal detox. Oh, thank you, Serenity Yoga, for that beautiful super chat. You guys don't have to super chat, especially with these videos. But yeah, so heavy metal detox. Okay, like, there are actually kits that you can get at home and supplements that you can take that will detox your system of heavy metals. What else did I just learn about the other day with a heavy metal detox? What was it? I'm trying to remember. I guess fasting. Fasting's huge. Yeah, it just, your cells are holding on to those heavy metals. There was something else. It might have been a supplement that I was taking. Oh yeah, charcoal, guys. Charcoal, charcoal, charcoal. I do this like once every couple of months. I put a teaspoonful of activated charcoal. Oh my God, this is the best remedy for heavy metal detox I could ever possibly recommend. 100%. Go buy yourself some activated charcoal. It is a bit expensive, to be honest, but you really don't need much of it. Do your research. Don't just take a word for it. Please do your research on charcoal, activated charcoal, and heavy metal detox. You just put a scoop of it into your water. It's weird because you drink black water, but I will tell you that the main symptom that I had when I was drinking the charcoal water was bloated. Like, I literally, my whole body, like my stomach, abdomen was so bloated. It literally looked like I was 3 months pregnant for probably 2 weeks because it's called the toxic bloat. It's your body releasing all of the toxins, okay? So 100% activated charcoal, could not recommend it more. So good for you. The other thing too is just intention, pure white light, okay? Pure white light is going to really help for the release, okay, of the vaccines, okay? Just know that the vaccines are also vibrational, right? We are vibrational beings. And like I was mentioning earlier, our intention, our vibration can actually transmute any sort of old paradigms or vaccines or even like things like low vibrational foods and sugars that we put into our body. Our intention can override that. So I just want to say that the more fear you have into vaccines, the more that fear is going to damage your system if you were to ever get a vaccine. It's not a time to be afraid of the vaccines, to know that you can empower yourself above and beyond any sort of situation, especially vaccines that could essentially be mandatory. Check in with the Galactic Federation about this. I wanted to ask them about the vaccines, and they told me that that the governments were going to try and push mandatory vaccines, but that the Galactic Federation would stop them from doing that. So I'm really hoping that things haven't changed and that that's still the case, ultimately for this planet, right? But once again, we can empower ourselves beyond that. All right, good, good, good. Okay, let's go for just a couple more questions here. Okay, good. A question here from Jay. Is having balanced chakras important, or can we live with unbalanced chakras for the rest of our lives without knowing it? Is it a bad thing? Yeah, 100%. I just want to say that the seven chakra system is a very old paradigm. It's a very old system, and it's not necessarily really important to even focus on the chakras anymore. But I do want to say that people who live with imbalanced chakras, especially the throat, I see so many women, so many clients, like I can see chakras very clearly on people. But women, especially with the throat chakra, so much held in, information and communication that they're not necessarily expressing, and that can really damage you. And a lot of women and people who have imbalanced throat chakras, things like thyroid issues, aches and pains in the back of the neck and the upper shoulders, clearing your throat all the time, coughing, sore throats often, you're not expressing your truth, you're not communicating properly, right? So eventually a imbalanced chakra will lead to things like cysts, tumors, cancers, yada, 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 those kind of things. That's why we're all ascending to a crystalline energy frequency, because we don't actually need a chakra system to support us anymore. We don't need to hold the energy in our system anymore. We're just in crystalline frequency, we're just moving the energy always. And I have a really incredible video I just put out a month ago on 7 chakra, 13 chakra crystalline frequency systems and what you need to know about that and how we're kind of moving and transcending. Okay. Great question though. Let's take a look here. Okay, cool. Okay, so last question here from Ileana, which I believe you're a new member, so thank you for being a member. How valid is astrology and birth charts nowadays? Birth charts offered a blueprint of what you would go through in life, even if you were compatible with other people. With the veil thinning, can people manifest whatever they want, even if it's not originally in their astrology birth, like manifesting to have kids, even though the birth chart says no? Absolutely, 100%. Nothing, not a psychic, not a teacher, not, a beautiful blue sky, not a religious doctrine, not an astrology chart should limit you to what is possible in your life. It kind of comes down to that free will versus destiny, right? We all create our own destiny with our contracts that we write before we're even incarnated. We all write our own contracts. We need to understand that. And so as far as astrology, we all chose exactly what day, what time, what place in the world to be born in order to have the capacity, the abilities, the challenges that we have in our life. I do resonate with birth charts. I absolutely 100% do not resonate with what is it called? Horoscopes? Is that an astrology thing? Like the whole Cancer or whatever. Um, I don't really I don't really resonate with my horoscope, but I 100% resonate with my birth chart. Okay, so there's definitely a difference there. It doesn't mean that all horoscopes are wrong and all birth charts are right, and it doesn't mean that you need to be limited or confined by anything. Okay, this is our time to really empower and rise above all limitations, especially spiritual limitations as well. Right? If I said, oh, none of you can be psychic because only I am psychic, I mean, that's a cause for questioning things, right? I believe all of you are psychic. All of you can do what I do. All of you can connect with the Galactic Federation. All of you can do handstands if you wanted to do handstands. You all have that capacity within you. Don't allow anything to be a limiting force in your life. And that being said, guys, I have an absolutely epic live video planned for everyone tomorrow talking about the shift between the third dimension, the fifth dimension, the new earth paradigm, and what that all means for all of you. So please tune in 5:55 EST Eastern Standard Time, 2:55 PST Pacific Standard Time, and hopefully you can find your own timeline within there wherever you are in the world. I love you all so much. Definitely tune in for tomorrow's epic live video. Keep up the high vibes, everyone. Thank you to all my members for these amazing questions. And I'll see you all tomorrow for a special live video. Bye.